Welcome to the Messianic Hour with Rabbi Scott Sekulow. The Messianic Hour is a program designed to give you insight into the Jewish roots of your faith. Rabbi Scott is also here to answer your questions and help you gain a deeper understanding of Bible prophecy. And now, here's your host, Rabbi Scott Sekulow.
Shalom and welcome to another edition of the Messianic Hour. I'm your host, Rabbi Scott. I'm here with my wife, Judy. This show is dedicated to reaching the lost and educating the found. I'm glad you're with us today. As we're going to have a special show. We have some good friends of ours from Israel. They're in the States, Carolyn and Richard Hyde, and they're going to be coming and sharing a little bit about what's going on in Israel, their ministry, what they do there. You're not going to want to miss it. Great opportunity as we're going to be hearing people from the land, believers in the land, how Orthodox Jews are coming to know the Lord. You're not going to want to miss that as we come and celebrate together. And Judy, we have some neat things coming up.
Speaking of Orthodox Jews.
Yes, speaking of Orthodox Jews.
We have Reuven Prager. He's an Orthodox Jewish man who lives in Israel, working on rebuilding the implements that are going to be needed when the third temple is going to be rebuilt. That was very funny that we had someone ask us this week, Rabbi, do you really think the third temple is going to be rebuilt? And we're like, yes, it's got to be rebuilt in order to fulfill. But he's coming and he's talking about the holy half shekel.
Right.
Very important thing that that he's doing, and also the seat, which is the fringes of the garment, not.
Right.
You can't think about like fringe we have nowadays, totally biblical here, and the blue dye.
Right. Well, most people you've seen fringes, and they're maybe they're all white. But the way in the scripture says that there has to be one string that has to be of blue dye, and they have refound it. I'm not going to share it all because it's really neat. You want to come see it, how they've reestablished the dye color and the animal that actually produced it. Great teaching. If you're not in Atlanta, you can watch via the live streaming. We will be live streaming the entire event while it's going on. And I think you'll even be able to ask questions as well, so it'll be kind of neat.
And one thing we do want to encourage you is if you are in the Atlanta area, we would love for you to come worship with us at Congregation Beth Adonai, either personally, come, experience it in person, feel the Spirit moving, and feel the joy that people have of coming together on the Shabbat, worshiping together on the Shabbat.
Jew and Gentile worshiping together.
But also, we are leading up to the High Holy Day services. I want to say, I hate when I pull things off the top of my head, so don't quote me on this, but I think August 18th is No, hold on. You don't know where I'm going for once, honey.
You're right.
Is the Rosh Chodesh, Chodesh Elul, and that starts the 30 days of preparation leading up to the High Holidays. And the High Holidays is Rosh Hashanah is September 15th and 16th, a Sunday night and a Monday day service. And you can go to the website, find out all these dates and everything, but we'd love for you to come and worship with us.
No tickets are required. It's open to everyone. You can invite your Jewish friends. Let them know we are Messianic. We don't want to have any surprises, but let them know that no tickets are required. They'll understand what that means. And you can also, if you're not in the area, you can watch us via live streaming. We had I think we had over 2,500 people watching last year via live streaming. It was unbelievable. And so please remember that as we come into that season. And we'd love for you again to be with us. Check it out at rabbiscott.com.
And Facebook.
And Facebook and YouTube. Check it out. We'll be back with our special guests, Carolyn and Richard Hyde, right after the break. You're listening to the Messianic Hour. Welcome back to the Messianic Hour. I'm your host, Rabbi Scott. The show is dedicated to reaching the lost and educating the found. I want to encourage you, go to our website, rabbiscott.com. There you can sign up for our newsletter. You'll be able to get a free book with that as well. I have a friend who's Jewish to you, and a prophecy card, 70 of the key prophecies, where you find them in the Torah and Haftorah, and where they're fulfilled in the renewed covenant. And on the back of that card also gives you witnessing tips on how to share your faith, not only to your Jewish friends, really to anyone, but in particular to your Jewish friends, so in a way that you don't offend and can really reach them with the truth of their Jewish Messiah. So go to our website, rabbiscott.com. Again, while you're there, sign up for our newsletter. You get a free gift with that. Remember, we are a listener-supported show, too. You can support us right there online. And you can also bless Israel by planting a tree in Israel. So check that out at rabbiscott.com. But right now, I want to go right to our guest. We have a very special guest. Richard Hyde and his wife, Carolyn, moved to Israel a number of years ago and are doing ministry work in the land and particularly reaching out to the Orthodox Jewish community, among other things. So I want to get Richard on the line. Richard, glad you're here with us.
Well, thank you for having us so much, Scott.
And Richard, you how long ago did you move to Israel?
I made Aliyah 9 years ago. Of course, you know, Aliyah means literally going up to God, but it's also the term used for the Jewish people coming back to their homeland and fulfillment of prophecy. God says 60 times in Scripture He's going to bring us back home, and we're just part of that prophecy being fulfilled.
And so now, you're originally, though, from, I think, Texas, right?
Yeah, I'm a Texas boy. I had the privilege of living in God's country twice.
There you go.
In the great state of Texas, and moved to Israel as soon as I could.
Now, of course, Texas is much bigger than Israel, so you had to get used to that. But what brought you from Texas to Israel?
Well, you know, Texas is actually 25 times bigger than you can put 25 Israels in the state of Texas. Well, how did I get to Israel? Well, that's a long story. But just in a nutshell, the Lord just met me in a tremendous way. I was, after I graduated from college, I thought I was going to be a doctor, decided not to be, and I've always been good in sports, and decided that I was going to be a assistant tennis pro for a club. For a short time, I decided what God had for me. So I wasn't making much money. I was living on a strict diet of oatmeal and, what else? Peanut butter. And I just was just trying to figure out, God, what do you have for me? I was living in a trailer, sitting in my lounger there, reading my scripture a lot each day, trying to see, you know, God, what do you want me to do with my life? And I came across the verse in Psalms 122:6, and it says, pray for the peace of Jerusalem and those that do prosper. Well, when I saw that prosper part, it caught my attention. So I thought, oh, well, you know, I need prosper here, so I'm going to pray for Jerusalem. And as I did, God met me in a miraculous, it's only happened to me twice, and both times what happened is a light just came down right through the ceiling. Nobody was there to witness it this second time. The first time they were. But the light just came right down to the ceiling. God met me in an amazing way, and I just got a download and a love for the Jewish people. See, I was born in a Methodist church, and out in West Texas where we have more horses than people. So my first inclination was to go out and meet a Jewish person, but the Lord said, no, I want you to continue reading Scripture, but in a different way. And I did, and with a whole different perspective. I began to see Jesus all through the Messianic prophecies, and you could see him in the feast. And so that was, and just God gave me a love for the Jewish people. And then I went into missions after for 5 years, and I came back to Virginia, and I went to a Messianic congregation. And after I'd been in missions for so long, my heart was just, you know, to get a job, get married, have a family, and help support missionaries. So when I came to this Messianic congregation, I saw my soon-to-be wife standing up front, and she really caught my fancy. She was playing the guitar, and so I met her at the water fountain, at the well. She was like my Rachel, and I was smitten, and so then we were married. And actually started a Messianic congregation out in Texas, and then the Lord called us to Germany. That's actually where Heart of God Ministry started, was in Germany. It was a ministry of reconciliation between Jews and Germans. And we still minister there, but then it was from there that we made Aliyah, and that was 9 years ago.
And you have 5 kids who, several of them are living in Israel. Matter of fact, your son is serving in the Army. Is that correct?
Exactly. We have 2 sons that are in the Army. One is in combat. He was down in Gaza, where we were having a lot of mortars that were coming over from Gaza. But now, because of all the problems that are happening up in the north, but with Syria and so forth, they have moved him up there. Then our other son is actually in intelligence. We don't know all that he does. He works in the equivalent of the Israeli Pentagon.
Wow. And now both of them are believers?
Yes. Our youngest son has had some difficulty because he's had a lot of persecution from some Orthodox soldiers in his unit. And so we love to tell people about that so that they can just lift him up in prayer. He's working through that right now, actually.
And now he's actually, and you told me that his division just got moved from the Gaza area up north towards on the Syria border. Is that correct?
Exactly, because of the things are so unstable on that border right now.
And his group is one of those first responders. You said that as well. So they're kind of getting ready for stuff to happen up in that area.
Yes, it could very well be.
So we need to keep you. And your son's name? What's his name?
His name is Avi. It's short for Abraham.
Avi. So we need to keep. I want to encourage our listening audience to keep him in prayer. Obviously, he's literally right there on the front lines. And your other son is intelligence, but in the intelligence division, both of them believers in Messiah, sharing their faith. And we got about 4 minutes here. And you had been talking when we had lunch the other day about a special pamphlet that you give out to Orthodox Jewish people. You had some questions that you were able to, or ways in which you could share. I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about that and maybe give us an example of two of what you do with that.
Well, actually, the pamphlet that we give that out to Jewish people outside the land. It's about Aliyah. You know, Aliyah is really the first step towards salvation, because when you talk to a Jewish person, especially in America, their eyes are not very open towards talking about Jesus and open towards the Messiah, but they are open to things about Israel and about Aliyah. And God says, He's going to bring us back to the land. We were scattered throughout the whole earth. He's going to bring us back to the land that He gave to our forefathers. And then it says in Ezekiel 36:24 that He will sprinkle clean water upon us and take out that heart of stone and give us a heart of flesh. And so this is what's beginning to happen now. God's bringing His Jewish people back home physically, but He's bringing them back home spiritually as well. And so Aliyah really is the first step towards salvation, we believe. And so we're excited about handing out those Aliyah brochures.
Now, what are some of the questions that when you go to share your faith, especially the Orthodox Jewish community, you said there's some pretty much witnessing techniques that you use on them. Can you give us an example?
Well, with the Orthodox, it's not easy, of course. Generally in Israel, we have this right below the surface is the Holocaust. It's not that far behind us, and we have so many secular Jews in Israel, and that's really the primary reason. It's the idea, well, if there is a loving God, how could He allow the Holocaust? And what the Lord put on my son and I's heart is to write a booklet that tells a story about the Jewish people. People love stories about themselves.
Right.
And it's what it is. It's all the prophecies that God said that He would do with the Jewish people and how they've been fulfilled throughout history. And as they begin to see this fulfillment, one after another, they begin to realize, God hasn't forsaken us. He hasn't forgotten us. He loves us. He cares for us. He has a plan for us. And then they often ask us, well, if this is what you believe, why don't you wear a yarmulke and have the tzitzi and the peyot, the curly hair down the side? And we tell them, because what they're asking is, why aren't you Orthodox? We say, you can know and have a relationship with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and you don't have to be Orthodox. You can do that through the Jewish Messiah, Yeshua.
And now, if they wanted to get a copy of that, we got about a minute left in the segment. Is that available on your website, which is Heart of God, and it's actually g-d.org, and we'll have that on our website. If you're watching YouTube, you can probably see that online too, but it's Heart of God, but the God is g-d, the way the Orthodox do that, .org. Can they get that there? How would they be able to get that? You got about 40 seconds.
Exactly. Just come to our website. You can find out more about us. You can download that brochure, and there's many other things that you can find out about Israel, and you can also ways to contact us and also to be involved in our ministry. We're a full-time ministry in Israel.
That's great. And we're going to be talking to your wife, Carolyn, who's also a worship leader, right after the break. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Messianic Hour. Go to our website, rabbiscott.com. You can also get us on your iPhone and soon the Android right around the corner. Check it out at YouTube as well, the Messianic Hour. We'll be back right after this.